Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic channel. Hope you are all having a spectacular day. And today I wanted to have a look at Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is a medieval picture of Sodom and Gomorrah, and what caught my attention was obviously the architecture. You know, this whole thing about the ancient, the Old Testament, Bible stories, we're always given the impression that they happened in these places where there was no buildings and no tech. It always, in all the shows we're shown, it looks like desert. They're just walking around. There's nothing there. And that is what it looks like today. But that is not what it looked like not too long ago. You can have a look here at the kind of buildings that there used to be in Sodom and Gomorrah. And the kind of clothes that they were wearing. And I have another one here. These are obviously drawings done after the fact, but it just shows you, the image, just the whole sort of image that we've been given of back in the Old Testament days. I mean, you've all seen the images of Jesus walking around, with his sort of brown robe on, and they're just walking through the desert with a stick, and there's no brick buildings anywhere. It's just all huts and stuff, if that. But look at this drawing. This is someone's impression of Sodom or Gomorrah, one of them, completely built out old world cities, domes, spires, towers, the whole lot, pillars, arches. So this is the thing, guys, this whole story, and with things like the Bible, they give us the story, they just kind of change the way that you interpret it, but just by what they show you, they just leave information out, like the fact that it was completely built out with antiquitech buildings. Alright, so what I thought we'd do today is actually have a look at the Bible verses for Sodom and Gomorrah. So let's jump into it. And this is Genesis 18, New International Version. The three visitors. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried to the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord. Do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." Now, this is, Genesis 18. This is just before Sodom and Gomorrah. And I find this an interesting little verse. I was just looking up Sodom and Gomorrah because obviously they are destroyed cities from the old world that we are told about, destroyed from above with fire and brimstone. Brimstone, of course, being sulfur. And in this, clearly it says that he's talking to the Lord. "Do not pass your servant by, my Lord. Let water be brought so you can wash your feet." So it's saying there the Lord is like a being with feet. And this washing of feet, it's a theme throughout the Bible when it comes to angels, the Lord, and then it sort of moves into those who want to be rulers, the hierarchy. Always this washing feet thing, and I'm not sure what that means. What I was thinking is soul, the soles of the feet, the soul, I'm not sure. Does anyone have any info on that one? So Abraham hurried into the tent for Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There, in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. So again, Abraham is talking one-on-one with the Lord, like it's the Lord is a being, a person, a physical being. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. So he's also speaking to Sarah, the Lord. When the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. Now, that's a pretty interesting line, that one, isn't it? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation. Now, of course, Abraham is the father of what are termed the Abrahamic religions, which are Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam. Yes, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, all Abrahamic. So they all have the same origin, and they love to fight and start wars and kill each other over semantics. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. So that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin is so grievous that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Went to Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare a place for the sake of those 50 righteous people? And then this bit goes down and they basically have this talk. And he says, would you spare it for 40 people? And the Lord says, yes. Would you spare it for 30? Yes. Would you spare it for 20? Yes. And then down the bottom, then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found? The Lord answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. Meaning Sodom. Sodom, of course, we know what that word turned into and what it means. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Now, I thought there was more to this. I thought that there was a bit where Abraham actually went into Sodom and tried to find people, and couldn't. Well, I think at the very end he only found one. But in this, this is Genesis 18, and if I go forward, that bit is not there. So I don't know, am I just remembering something that didn't happen, or something from another timeline, or does anyone else remember that? Was there a part in the Bible where Abraham actually went into Sodom and he was trying to find righteous people, so to get the Lord to not destroy it? I mean, I remember that. Maybe I'm losing my mind, or maybe I'm finding it, who knows. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the morning, and so here we go. So two angels. So back in the previous here, it says clearly, Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. And those 3 men were the Lord and the two angels that left. The two angels arrived in Sodom in the evening, and the Lord stayed with Abraham, 3 men. So what's going on here? Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, and that's another thing, this bowing down, always looking down, bowing down with your hands out. I mean, it's probably just a power play thing, but I don't know. Is there something to that? My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet. There it is again. You can wash your feet and spend the night and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and then ate. That's another thing, unleavened bread. That's another tie-in. Milk and honey. There's all these sort of threads through the Old Testament. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom. Now this is where it gets a bit weird, guys. I'm just going to read this. It's in the Bible. YouTube fact checkers this. I'm just reading the Bible, okay? Okay. God. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Listen to this. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you and you can do what you like to them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. What the? His daughters aren't under the protection of his... I mean, this... Yeah, I mean, I'm not I'm not religious at all. I'm not a Christian. I don't follow man-made religions. Saying that, I find the Bible interesting. There's a lot of truth in it. If Christian means... That's what my kitty thinks Christian means. If Christian means trying to be like, to emulate Jesus and live like he lived, then I'm all for that, and I'm definitely doing that. But as far as all this rhetoric and dogma and men in dresses standing up on stages telling you how to interpret these teachings, I am against that. I'm also, information is power because it makes you powerful, because it helps you make better decisions. Okay, if you only have information from one source, you can't make a decision. You're being told something. Alright? If you have information of 2 opposing sources, you could make a decision, but it's, basically the more information you have and the more different opinions, the better decision you can make. And I apply that to religion. I apply that to everything. So as far as religions, I read it all. I read Islam, I read Jewish stuff, I read the Vedas, I've read a bit of Zoroastrianism, native type stuff, Gnostic, Hermetic. I mean, it's all information. And the thing is about all this information is this was all written by men. It was all interpreted and written down by men. For whatever reason, we cannot say 100% that every single person who has written a bit of text for a theosophical or religious book has had good intent. We can't say that. Some of them have probably had bad intent. We know that these books have been, mercilessly, interpreted, reinterpreted. They have been edited. Of course, we've got the Council of Nicaea in 325, where they heavily edited the Bible, took out things like the Book of Enoch. And of course, we have translating as well, translating from language to language to language. And of course, that was all done by the Jesuits, by one group of people. Now, these group of people, and we know today that they have agendas. So if there were things in those interpretations that they didn't like or that would go against them or make them or their beliefs look bad, do you think that that interpretation would make it through? So this is the thing. Everything needs to be, as they say, taken with a grain of salt. And this is why information is, in my opinion, it's the way to really, obviously it's a way to understand what's going on around you, because the more information you have in your mind, it's about connections, is what it's all about. So the more information you have in your mind on different topics, the more connections your brain can make. And so you can make better decisions. So if, with a car, if you take your car to a mechanic and all you know is that a car has 4 wheels and engine and starts with a key, and that's it, and the mechanic can really sort of look at it and tell you anything, and you don't have much choice but to believe what they tell you, do you? Or get a second opinion, which of course you should. That's getting more information. But if you go in there and you know that car has an engine, a gearbox, all these different things, carburetors, valves, you know how it works, you know what it should sound like, and you go in there and someone tries to lie to you and say it's, give you the wrong information, this is the problem, then you can then make a better decision and say, well, no, that's not the problem, this guy's dodgy, and you can leave. So more information gives you more connections and helps you make better decisions. And that's why I don't ever limit myself to one book, one doctrine, one teaching, one anything, because ultimately all these teachings have come from one source. And I guess we've just got to be careful of what that source is. And of course, with the Bible, I'm not saying that the original source is bad, but like we just said, this thing has been edited, translated, and used as a power tool for hundreds of years. So the thing is, guys, you know what the truth is. You know what the truth is. It's all inside you. So all this information, or what it really is it's us remembering and us revealing things. And so whatever the truth is, we know what that is. That will, gel with us. That will sync with us. That will be in the right vibration for us to accept. It will just make sense. And that's how you know it's the truth. So yeah, that's my advice, is get as much information as you can. And then trust yourself to make the right decision with the information you've got and the connections you've made. Because that's clearly a weird part of the Bible. But like I said, there's a lot of good in the Bible. And of course the Bible is, 2 testaments, Old and New Testaments, written 1,000 years apart. One is a group of books about the past. The other is a group of books just about one person. And 66 books make up the Bible. So it's not a book, it's many books, all put together. And as I said, in the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, they heavily edited and took out a lot of books which are now called non-canon. Okay, that was my little spiel. Okay, so get out of the way, they replied. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so they could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here, sons-in-laws, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-laws, who pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry, let's get out of this place. It's about to be destroyed." But they laughed because they thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the men grasped his hands and the hands of his wife and daughters and led them safely out of the city, and the Lord was merciful to them. "Flee for your lives, don't look back," they said. So basically what happens here, they say, flee to the mountains or you'll be swept away. Don't look back. And Lot says, I'm too old. I found favour in your eyes. You have shown great kindness in sparing my life, but I can't make it to the mountains. The disaster will take over me and I'll die. Look here, there is a town near enough for us to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. He said, okay, very well, I will grant you this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it. He cannot do anything until he reaches the town. Okay, and they're about to destroy Sodom. So what are they about to destroy it with? So this is a reference to saying there's going to be some kind of, explosion, some kind of destruction, and Lot has to be far enough away that he's not destroyed with it. So they have to wait before they set off whatever they're about to do. By the time Lot reached Zor, so this town is called Zor. Zor as in Zoroastrian, maybe. The sun had risen over the land, then the Lord rained down burning sulphur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Okay, so the Lord was a guy that Abraham was talking to at his tent, and now it says the Lord rained down burning sulphur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. I guess make of that what you will. This is the thing. What is the Lord? What is? It seems to be used in reference to different things, because clearly that from the Lord out of the heavens, does that mean that the guy that Abraham was talking to is now flying around shooting, lasers? This is the thing. Sounds like they're talking about, more maybe devices, tech. I don't know. And of course, I don't, want to offend anyone. I don't want to offend any Christians or anything. I'm not saying that anyone's beliefs are wrong or they can't have them. Of course, you should have them. And you should not let other people sway you from your beliefs, but I am a questioner, so I shall do that. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities, and also all the vegetation in the land, which we see still through the Middle East, through the Sahara, up into Russia, and of course the whole centre of Australia, and large bits of the Americas. We call them deserts today. But Lot's wife looked back and became a pillar of salt. So we've all heard that. That was her lot in life, or his lot. A pillar, interesting shape, and salt. Salts. Became a pillar of salt. When you if you had water or a solution, and you took all the water out of that solution, what would you be left with? You'd be left with salts, right? I remember reading an article years ago, and it actually said someone had, some scientism guy had worked out that, because humans, are just physical, right? That he worked out $1 value for a human, and it was something like 9 cents. And because basically he said that if you take all the water out of a human, you're just left with chemicals. You're just left with a bit of iron, a bit of, calcium, a bit of this, bit of that. And the amounts that you get aren't that much. And on that market, in that time frame, it was worth about 9 cents. So she looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. So was she like vaporized? It was all the water instantly evaporated out of her, and all that was left was salt. Don't know, because it doesn't say she was burnt, and we've seen these buildings, castles, remnants, and they look scorched, something. But the pillar of salt doesn't really lend to like a burning, does it? Unless that was an after effect of something. Maybe it was, I don't know, radioactivity. some kind of chemical thing we don't know of, or some kind of light spectrum that we don't know of. Who knows? But it's definitely, they're telling them to get out of the way because they're about to blow this place, and then they do. And she looks at it and she gets, all the water sucked out of it instantly. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't weird before, but this is where it gets weird. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar, and he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger daughter, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father." Just reading the Bible, guys. Just reading the Bible. Oh my God. That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him, so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father drunk again. The younger daughter went in, slept with him, and again he was not aware when she lay down or when she got up. God. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. Does this remind you of anything, guys? Like, I don't know, royal lineages? The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites today. And the younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. So, like I said, I was just trying to find the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And as you can see, the focus of this bit of the Bible is not on the destruction. It's not really on what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. It's not even that much about, what kind of things were going on. I mean, obviously we have that one sort of phrase which is a bit full on, this one here. But apart from that, it just kind of says, they're bad, that no one gets a chance to save them. Well, I thought that used to be in there. Again, let me know if you remember that verse that I do that is no longer in this book. But the focus seems to be on Abraham and Lot, and on lineage and bloodlines, and getting people to have sons so that they can be fathers of nations. That's what this is mostly focused on. It just is. There's the foot washing for some reason, because I remember there's another one, there's quite a few stories where they say, angels came in, and angels came to my door, and people invite them in, and they sit them down, they have meals with them, and they always wash their feet. What's the feet washing? The soul? Cleanse the soul? Or, this is all, again, wordplay. We really don't know what words mean, where their original meaning came from. We may be calling something, a dog, and that may have been called a rock 500 years ago. We just don't, that's a silly example. We don't know. So we don't know what the word really, what the etymological basis of words like Lord and God are. We just don't, and it's even harder with words like this because they are so open to interpretation. They are so linked to belief systems and to emotions that it's really hard to search any kind of etymology of what the original meaning was, because, when you look into this stuff, God sounds a lot like a force, some kind of force, I don't know, electricity, electromagnetism, magnetism, something like that. And the Lord, I don't know, the Lord, the Ark of the Covenant too, I might look into that and read that verse to you, because that as well, that thing flies around under the power of the Lord. So what's the Lord? It doesn't, the interpretations that are given of God and the Lord seem to be different. They seem to be different kind of energies, entities, things like that. And in Genesis, and I have brought this up with different Christians, and I've been given different answers every time, but there's two creation stories in Genesis. There just is, and you'll know it. Basically, the first one is Adam and Eve are created from the dust of the earth, the clay of the earth, and the second one, Adam is created and then put into a sleep, and Eve is created from his rib. Two different creation stories. One is God, one is the Lord. So I might get into that as well. Let me know if you're interested in this kind of Bible-y stuff, because this was, like I said, I was actually looking for information just regarding, the whole sort of looking at castles and destruction and maybe were they melted or did something happen? Did some plasma or electric event come from above or below? That's what I was looking into, but I found this verse and I found that very interesting, and so I thought I would share. And like I said, that there are some other interesting ones. Well, there's lots in the Old Testament, that relate to things that look like tech, that seem to be tech of some kind. Especially, like I said, the Ark of the Covenant, which also, I don't want to spoil my future videos too much, but the Ark of the Covenant actually fits perfectly inside the sarcophagus in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. So that's interesting too. I'm going to leave this here because I haven't read it. It probably gets weirder. I don't know. But yeah, it seems to all be about, not about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, not about why that was destroyed, but much more about lineage, bloodlines, to the point of daughters raping their father. I mean, this is in the Bible, guys, and they are the chosen people to start nations. Is there any? Look who's in charge today. Seriously, look who's in charge today. Look at what's going on today with all this stuff. Involving, things like fast food, hot dogs and pizza. You know what I'm talking about. The PP people. These are the people in control. Did you hear what I read in this? These daughters went and raped their father. That's like, and they were the chosen ones to create the nations with that bloodline. And just as another side thought to this, and again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. It said in this previous, it said that the Lord made Abraham's wife Sarah pregnant. Sounds a lot like Jesus, doesn't it? The story of Jesus. Because the Lord made Mary pregnant, right? It wasn't Joseph. And they were told as well, they were given precognition of the time, exactly like this story. I just thought I would point that out. Alright, I might end this here before I offend too many people, but like I said, this is just all information. These are books written by people, interpreted by people, edited by people, translated by people. People. And most of them wear dresses and funny hats and are still controlling the world today. Just look at the Vatican. And of course, just one more thing is the main Bible that is followed today by many people, that is sort of referred to as the sort of main Bible is the King James Version, King James. Now that was of course written by Joseph Bacon. So Joseph Bacon, who many theorize was also Shakespeare, but he was definitely a Freemason. So if you look at the front page of an old KJV Bible, you'll see the Masonic pillars and everything on the front page there. But this is the thing, that was written in the 1600s. It's a long time after the fact, as far as the narrative they give us, isn't it? So why would this is what I don't really understand about a lot of things. So enlighten me, but not with rhetoric, because yeah, I've been through all that. But enlighten me as to, yeah, I'm just interested. It just just interests me. I'm curious. It interests me why people who follow the Christian religion would read a book from the 1600s when they believe that this all happened, the Old Testament starting 6,000 years ago. I think that covered sort of 3,000 year period. Jesus' life was 2,000 years ago, obviously the year zero. All those books, New Testament was started 33 years, they tell us, which is an interesting number, and Jesus, of course, died at 33. They said the writings of the New Testament started 33 years after Jesus, when the first Pope, and now I'm really stretching my brain to remember who the first Pope was. I know it was Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. I don't know, one of those. But yeah, so why wouldn't you be reading the original scriptures with all the original books? We have these like non-canon books, like the Book of Enoch, and Christians, many of the Christians I've talked to, say, well, no, they say blah blah, or there's bits that don't match up, and it wasn't part of the original texts. But that's not true. That's not true, because Enoch is the grandfather of Noah. Of Noah, as in Noah's Ark, Noah's flood. Enoch's his grandfather. So how can they say Noah should be in the book of Noah should be in the Bible, but the book of Enoch shouldn't be? It's much more like the book of Enoch that describes the watchers and things coming down and things invading our reality, maybe the content that they didn't want spread. So again, why would you follow, the teachings, but only be following half of them, only getting half the story? And I understand indoctrination and all this kind of stuff and faith, but we're at the time where people need to really start to look, assess, judge, and think critically. Okay, we're growing. As long as we're acting like children, as long as we're asking authority to tell us what the truth is, then we're just going to be led. We're just going to be led. That's it, guys. They're called leaders for a reason. They lead you around. They don't lead you where you want to go. That's for us. We need to make our own decisions. As I said, get the most information you can so you can make the best decisions you can. And with things like this, if you're interested in religion and the Christian sort of side of it, I'd be reading everything, all the non-canon books, all the old texts. Go find an Ethiopian Bible from the 1800s. Get some non-edited stuff, because the stories make a lot more sense. You read the Bible today, the KJV and all these new ones, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It's not congruent. And that's because it's been so heavily edited. Alright, so a bit of a rant on religion there. It's not religion, it's the institutions of religions and the man-made aspect. Like I said, the teachings are there for us to learn from. They're not for us to be told what they mean. They're us to learn from. This is why in the New Testament they're called parables. They have parables, which are stories that we can get meanings from. We're not told, do this, do that. It's a story that we can interpret. And at the end of the day, that's all we are, guys. We are a perspective, an individual perspective, different from all other perspectives, and that's why you're all so awesome, is because things could not be like they are now without you, without everyone contributing. And we all have gifts, we all have something special inside us that we're sent here to share with the world. And if we let other people control our lives and our thoughts and our view of reality, then those gifts stay inside and never come out. And now is the time to open the box, guys. Pandora's box. Open it up and never let it be put back. Guys, alright, thank you for spending some time with me. I hope that made a bit of sense. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come on!